Joe Biden is going to be 78 years old on Inauguration Day. That is elderly. Age will eventually kill you, unless something else does the job first. Age is a deadly thing. And before you die, if you live long enough, your mental and physical capacities will diminish. It's going to happen. The only way that it won't happen to you is if you die before that. But if you don't, then it will happen. It happens to everyone. We are mortal animals. This is part of the package. And so that is why it's completely absurd for elderly men. In this, when you're 78 years old, the life expectancy for men in America is 76. Now, yeah, that number is way down by men who die much younger, but still, point is, it's really old. Way too old to take on the most stressful job on the planet. As I pointed out before, think about what the job did to George Bush, who was a young man when he got into office, or Barack Obama, also, both of them relatively young men. Think about what they look like after 8 years. It aged them considerably. Now think about what it would do to a guy who's 78 when he gets into office. By the time midterms roll around, Joe Biden will be 80 years old. At 80 years old, you will have been AARP eligible for 30 years. At 80 years old is also the age where people typically start to get dementia, if they're going to get it. It's not ageism. Okay, I'm not being, that's just a reality. At 80 years old, your chances of getting dementia, of developing dementia are pretty good. At the age of 50 or 60, they are very, very low. What happens when a president gets dementia? Does anyone know? What do we do about that? I mean, how do we know that sometimes it's not obvious right away. And what happens when he has the early onset of dementia? What do you do? Well, we've never really had to figure that out, but Joe Biden's insatiable thirst for power may force us to figure it out. Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders have been running for political office or holding political office for 100 years between them. They just can't get enough of it. And they're going to keep going until it literally kills them. And I think that's reason enough to oppose their candidacies. And I haven't even gotten into their bad policy ideas. But before you even get to that, the fact is these are elderly men who are obsessed with power and cannot let it go. Anyone who wants to be president so bad that they'll run for president at the age of 78, that is someone who should not be president. You know, the other problem, I think, with having someone at that age be president is that an elderly person isn't going to be around to reap the consequences of their policies and their actions. And I think that's just not fair to the rest of us. Like, it's not fair that you have control over the future of America, and it's a future you're not even going to be a part of. That's not fair to us. So we deserve to have somebody in there who's going to have to also live with the consequences of whatever they do. How do you hold such a person accountable? I mean, when someone is 80 years old and they're president, they are almost definitely going to be dead within 10 years, probably within 5. Now, look, it's not a pleasant reality. It's just the reality of the situation. Most people don't live past 85, especially men. Yeah, there are exceptions, but most people don't. Why should a person like that care what the voters think? Well, they're not going to. They have nothing to lose. And it's difficult enough when you have a lame duck president, like when you've got a president on his second term and he knows he's leaving after this. Well, what about when you have someone who's about to be term limited out of existence itself? I mean, how do you control someone like that?